Shavua Tov, everybody. Shavua Tov. It is Saturday night, and we have a special guest who will be joining us in just one moment. I won't give him too much introduction because then that would tell the whole story, and the show would be boring, right? But we're going to bring on Ben Masada, and he will talk with us, and he should be right here. Hello.
Hello, Shavua Tov. Thanks for having me on. To all
All
your
right.
listeners
Great.
and viewers, Shalom, Shavua Tov, Mashlomchem.
All right, welcome to the Shofar live edition on Saturday night. We are live, and
Awesome.
the YouTube um, censors a little bit, so we'll try and keep it
Clean.
within. Yeah, we'll try and keep it somewhat clean. You can cuss, but we won't get into too much uh, gore or anything like that. But just in case they do cut us off on the YouTube stream, this is broadcasting, simulcasting, broadcasting simultaneously at the Twitch account, of course, which
Okay.
is live.thejdl.us. So we are on Twitch and YouTube right now. So good evening, and so what I have up here in the corner is if everybody can see it over there, it's a Spotify code that if folks zoom in or whatever, they could scan to look at a podcast that you've been doing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that podcast and if you plan to stay with that format or tell us a little bit about the podcast with the pirate picture there. What's going on there?
Okay. My podcast is called Big Dick the Pirate.
Which I will
It's
not be
mainly,
saying the name of that one today.
uh, well, someone gave me the nickname once. I got it because I've been crewing a bunch of sailing yacht deliveries since 2019. Been in over 34 countries. And mostly it was crewing for private owners of these sailing yachts. So my podcast is basically recalling the crazy experiences along with the awesome experiences of just you, nature, and the ocean. A
Nice.
vessel that might be a piece of crap. You never know if the owner's a psycho, if they're on drugs, alcoholics, and the
Wow.
experienced and inexperienced crews that have had the pleasure or misfortune of being stuck in the middle of the ocean with. So it relates all the tales from 2019 up to
Nice.
about last year. I've stepped out of the marine industry, pursuing other avenues. So I will be starting a new podcast because if you catch the last 5 episodes, it's pretty much switched to standing up for my tribe, Yehudim, and very pro-Israel, supporting the Chayalim, Chayalot, and fighting the Hamasals
Oh,
and other haters out there in the world.
well, um, good to hear, of course. And fuck these haters. I dealt with some of
Yes.
them today.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm trying to. The footage is to come, folks. But oh yeah, we had all sorts of vile genocide supporter, Nazi, all these type of things they try to say to
Yeah.
you, and all these blood libels, you know.
Yes, I was
Um,
just watching an interesting video, a little bit inaccurate, but mostly accurate, on why the Jews have had to look for a homeland forever. And there's even some haters down here, but I will say in the land of guns and gators, we don't have as much Hamas holes running rampant, terrorist lovers. We don't see PLO flags, Jizballah
nice.
flags, anything like that down here. So that's why I'm down here.
Well,
But
that is interesting. What
yeah,
do What do
but
you
however,
think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. No, I was just going to say, I think the writing is on the wall for all the Yehudim in the Chul, that's the exile, that it's
Mhm.
time for us all to get our butts back to Israel. Straight up.
Okay.
Yeah, there's my
So, what do
opinion.
you think? In your opinion, um, what do you think is the difference between some place like Florida and some place like, say, New York City, right? Where you are going to be, is it just the government is
I
the
think so.
difference?
I think so. Um, Actually, if I don't have it here, but on my voter registration card, under where it says party affiliation, it says none. I am skeptical of politicians. I wrote my first book after
Good.
surviving Hurricane Irma, and in it, I mentioned that I was not in favor of Donald Trump. However, with all the crap that has gone on to our people, the violation of civil rights, the violations of our freedoms of expression, our way of life, um, it's ah, lost my thought, but yeah, it's
It's
serious.
got to
But
be
I
both.
put it to the governments in those democratic cities. Let these people run rampant. I do believe in freedom of speech, but however, I do believe there are limits.
Well, yeah,
Like I,
that's the thing. Um, when you're talking about, for example, threatening somebody, and we push this, ourselves. Um, Me, JDL in general, but we do push the limits. We test it, um, because even calls for violence are technically covered, right? But direct threats and intimidation are not covered under free speech. And that's where it gets into dealing with these people because they do attempt to directly threaten and intimidate people with their speech. They sometimes cross the line.
correct.
And whereas for the most part, I'm not saying that there's no Jews that do this. Okay, they do occasionally, but for the most part, that's not what happens with the Jews. Okay, um, frankly, they're just intimidated by our presence and existence anyway. You don't really have to do anything to menace a Palestine supporter. They're kind of shaky in the knees already.
It's been that way. It's been that way since Hadrian's son conquered Israel, Judea, way back in the day. We have been suppressed. We have been timid. We've been persecuted. We've been killed. I don't believe in getting in someone's face. I'm always watching what's happening over in Europe, specifically the UK. What goes on over there eventually
Wow,
comes over
yeah.
here. Channels like Charlie Veach, Meyer Tusi, showing the absurdity of what's going on with a mainly Muslim
Shout out to
run.
Charlie Veach, by the way.
Yes, Yeah, and his
He
bodyguard
mentioned some
Fred.
Jewish groups in America that have been spreading his videos. I figure he meant that. I don't know any other Jewish groups that are spreading his stuff right now. Maybe
I,
there are. I don't know.
I, yeah, I don't know either. I was in the Dominican Republic, dog sitting and villa sitting at a friend's house when October 7th happened, and I just
Oh
happened to be
wow.
going through YouTube when I saw Charlie Veach and Mayor Tusi, people that report actual facts and are on the side of the right. And when I
Hmm.
say right, I don't mean political. I mean
No, you mean
good,
what right and wrong, right?
yes, good versus evil, the dark versus the light. When
And
when
that's
the
what this is,
majority
really.
when the majority of the world is cheering for the darkness, I really think the time of Mashiach is coming. The final days are
I
coming.
agree.
I'm not a what do you call it? Conspiracy theorist. I do believe in some of them, but at this point in our civilization, modernity does not mean humanity. And to see what's happening, I'll say I'm an American first as much as an Israeli first. I have dual citizenship and I'm not ashamed of it. Um, it's time to really be even more concerned than ever about what's happening here. I
Right.
even grew up facing anti Semitism. I grew up, unfortunately, in Cleveland, Ohio. No diss to my friends up in Cleveland. You have good corned beef. But I remember I went to a Hebrew school called Yeshiva Adath B'nai Israel,
Hmm.
Yabi. And I was a little like Yeshiva Bucher. I could like speed read all the brachas and all that. And I was wearing
Nice.
tzitzis and my kippah to school back this like again, this is back in third grade. And the substitute teacher made me take it off. Take that
Oh,
off. Take that off. Now I didn't know any
wow.
better back then. I didn't know it better any better back then, but I was
Because
like,
you had the
okay.
right to not do that, right?
Right. And growing up there, uh, it was the African American community and the Italian community that I would get Jew hatred from, get my ass kicked. I was a little tiny string bean wimp with buck teeth and Coke bottle glasses, and I heard it
Wow.
all. Jews killed Jesus and all that.
Yeah,
So
the Christ killer stuff. Hmm.
yes, which is the blood libel that came out. Again, I was watching this YouTube video. I forgot the name of the book, but it was only written in the late 1800s, I believe, or early 1900s with the whole blood libel thing. But I heard enough of it that when I barely got out of high school, I'm an artist and a writer and a dreamer, so I was always distracted and I didn't do that well in school. I decided initially that I didn't want to go to college with any of these jerk offs that I've been going to school with. So
Right.
I ended up enlisting in the Navy, and I had been in a pre-Navy program. So I enlisted at advanced rank E3. I went to Great Mistakes, which is up there, but in your neck of the woods.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and
Great Lakes, yeah.
yeah, and so
This
I
is
mean,
good.
the food was great, but the people I was with were not. And
Uh,
my
Sometime I'll
step.
tell you a funny story from that base that I can't repeat on the air.
Okay, I look forward to hearing that. But my stepdad, who's Jewish, may he rest in peace. He was a lifer in the Navy. He also told me no one likes a rat on a ship. And in my squad bay in my company, I was hearing kike, Jew, yid, where's your horns? So I had
Wow.
this, so I just had this thing like, what am I doing here? So they had this thing called last chance where you're supposed to come clean on anything that might come up later on. And so I mentioned something that happened and they took me to the sick bay and they gave me the psych test where the
Oh
answers were
dear.
yes or no, and I calculated each answer and they came up with a mental diagnosis, so they gave me an entry level separation, and which meant it was like I was never there. I returned to Cleveland, worked
Oh,
making pizzas, throwing them up in the air at this Italian joint everyone there knows called Geraci's. Saved up my money, and during this time, I had met some friends that were in Baytar, Cleveland. So I was going to Baytar meetings and started learning a bunch of stuff that they never taught in, let's say, the Reform Hebrew school that I was going to
so what
for my.
year are we? Can you
This is
frame that for me?
this is 1992,
Oh, the old
and
Bitar. Okay, right.
yes. And when I was running with them, we would go stand up against the black Nazis, the followers of Farrakhan. And in one particular weekend, we went to Marion, Illinois, where there was a protest for Jonathan Pollard. And it was there I met a
Oh
bunch
yes,
of,
Marion.
yeah, so
Hmm.
I met a bunch of old school JDLniks from New York that came all the way to this protest.
Did you meet
And
any of our Chicago guys? I know a couple of them went down for that. Maybe you did.
Um, I might have, but I don't remember any names. I just kind of remember the New York ones because I decided, you know what, I always wanted to be in the military. My family has served in the U.S. military since World War One. I grew up reading history books. I grew up being patriotic. So I figured, you know what, instead of fighting for a country that really might not have clear intentions or goals, I figured, why don't I fight for my people? So I
Okay.
stayed in Cleveland for about 6 months, and uh, I got a scholarship through the temple in Cleveland Heights through Rabbi Pickle, to me, rest in peace, to go on Sarel. It was the cheapest way I
Okay.
could get there, which is Volunteers for Israel, for people that don't know what
Hmm.
Sarel is. So I knew when I was going to go there, I was going to join the army. So I had a round trip ticket, $400 in two kit bags, and I landed in Israel on September 7th. I remember it very well because it was the day my niece was born. And I was sent to Matzerot Tel HaShomer, which is in the center of Tel Aviv, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I knew, like, after my first day, I didn't want to come back. And
You're like, can I get a half a refund on this round trip?
Well, they said the ticket was open for a year. So from Matzrop, where I spent 2 weeks, I had only one cousin there, Shlomo Hochman, may he rest in peace, who'd been in every war. He survived the Holocaust. He was a partisan. He made it to Israel. He fought in every war up to 1982 in Lebanon when he was in the reserves. I don't have
Respect.
it. There's a picture of him having one of those horrible time cigarettes, drinking a Gold Star next to a blown out Lebanese tank. Um,
Respect.
yeah, he was a tough little bastard, that guy. He went through so much.
The bad
Um,
news sounds like.
yes, and a very nice guy. And so after I finished my 2 weeks at Matzrot, well, I will say on the weekends I had gone down to Ashkelon, and anywhere I went there, like times were different in Israel. Even though it was the first Intifada, it was still a time where if you're, I never smoked cigarettes until I got to Israel.
Oh
So
wow.
like, so it was a time when you could sit down on the bench at the main square. I believe it's Dizengoff Square in Tel Aviv, and someone might sit down. They'd offer you a cigarette. You start talking to them. Next thing you're like going over their house for Shabbat dinner, spending the weekend, and I really got into the Sephardic community. It was very interesting. I thought the food tasted a little better. Nothing personal.
Yeah.
You can only have so much gefilte fish, but I do love Malach and the Jachnun, and I love the
Right.
music.
Yeah. I mean, we love our purple
Hmm.
horseradish, but
Hmm.
it can
Yeah,
be
I
a
like
little
the
bit.
harif. The harif. Give me the schlug.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
You know
I know.
what? And people don't know about this stuff, and it's like, if you're Ashkenazi, you can eat this stuff too. Like it's not, like, unless it's Pesach or something, you don't really you can eat this stuff too. You don't have to just stick with whatever they did in the shtetl. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you go to the kosher store, they have the chug. Buy it. Buy it
Yeah.
too. Okay.
And yes. Sorry, were you about to say
Go.
something else? No, I was just gonna
Go.
say it's so much easier to keep kosher in Israel than it
Oh
is
yeah,
here
I
in the
can
States.
imagine.
It's a big shanda, but okay. So, so after Matzrot, I head up to my cousin Shlomo on Kibbutz Baram, which is all the way up north, very close to the border. It's close to Malkia and all that. I spent 3 weeks there, and after that, I ended up going down. I still had connections through Beitar to all the JDL Nikim that were living in Kfar Tapuach. Lenny Goldberg, David Axelrod, Benjamin Kahana, may he
The
rest in
beautiful
peace.
apple village.
Yes. And it was sparse. it was a Spartan way of life, I guess you could say, but you could really feel
You
emunah
know,
there,
that's funny
spirit.
that you use that wording because they invited us IDU guys over in Qatar to pull up, and were asking, do you want to come live here? And they said that it's Spartan conditions. That's the way specifically he described it. He said Spartan conditions, but
Yes,
you'll have food and stuff. And I thought, we kind of exist in Spartan conditions as it is. Yeah,
yes.
we needed people to train dogs for
Mm,
search and rescue. Apparently, they've heard of our dog whispering.
that's cool.
Anyway, go forward.
Are
Enough
they
of
dogs with space lasers on them? I've heard that.
yeah, they are space laser dogs, and they also run the banks.
That's right. Yeah,
That's
that's
who
one
used to
thing.
run the banks, the space laser dogs.
I've always been blue collar or breaking stereotypes like crewing yachts. There was one yacht I was crewing on one time where the owner says, "Oh, the only Jews I have on my boat are accountants and lawyers." And I said, "Well,
Really?
it's the
Oh,
time to, yeah, time to break some stereotypes." So anyway, I digress. So yeah, I was hanging out Kfar Tapuach, but my money was running out. They weren't really doing. I'm not slamming them, but they were supposed to help me make Aliyah. That wasn't really happening. So they took me to Jerusalem, and they worked it out that I could get into Machon Meir Yeshiva. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
okay,
They call it Machon Meir Kahana Yeshiva because it's a bunch of Bnei Akivniks and hardcore Hebes. My kind of crowd.
nice,
I like hardcore Jews,
nice.
like Bar Kochba. You know what
The
I mean?
Jewish idea is an important thing
Yes.
to be dedicated to.
And I learned so much about my roots and culture there and the actual history of our people. And it really lit a fire in me. It gave me more emunah and like more mental strength to go in the army and do what I had to do for Am Yisrael. So
Nice, nice.
I spent 6 months there, and like I said, I grew up in Cleveland, so I get there and I'm thinking, oh, this will be great. No cold weather, and I'm in this yeshiva. And that year, for like the first time in 20 years, they had this huge blizzard and
Oh
everything
wow,
shut down. And it was pretty
got you,
much,
bitch.
yeah, it was like big snowball fights. It was like the Russians versus Americans, whatever. It was a bunch of fun. But they ended up hooking me up with to go to Kivutzat Yavna, which is right outside Ashdod.
Oh, Yavne
For
was once a great learning center. Great learning.
Yeah, they had a big ulpan there, uh, and so I went there. They stuck me in Kita Aleph. They also had a conversion program there. They took us on, I call it the Zionish Spiel trips. Took us all over Israel, and I had a great job there. I was like in charge of the pool, and I had the keys of the pool. So if someone wanted to use the pool after hours, it would cost them either maybe a pack of Nobles or a 6 pack of Gold Star, the jet fuel. And it was there that two representatives from the Nachal came, and they said, "Oh, this is a top tier combat unit. We have an airborne unit. We have a unit that's just for Olim." And I was like, "Sign me up. That's what I'm here for." Plus, they have the red boots, and any unit with red boots, you know they're
Oi, oi,
pretty
oi.
damn good. So I was like, "Sign me up." So I was supposed to go in this Garin Olim, but they stuck me in this Garin Yisraeli on a place called Kibbutz Afik up in the northern Golan. I don't know if you've ever
Okay,
been there.
I have not been there. I've heard of it.
Okay, they have their main thing is avocados, and they have
Love
like there's really,
avocado.
yeah, like huge
They're
avocados,
very important.
like
Actually, Rabbi Schifrin had me on a avocado diet when I got sick earlier this year.
are you better?
Yeah, great. Avocados were
Awesome.
amazing, and it was avocados and Leonard Skinner.
Nice. Yes. I mean, it might sound crazy, but even when I was at the base at Masrapta Shamir, everything I tasted or ate was just even better than anywhere else in the world. Like the
It
water
was just
tasted like
amazing, huh?
milk. Yeah, I was like blown away. And but the group I was with, this group of Israelis, are the class of people there they call chachachim, arsim, like the gangster wannabes. Like
Okay.
they wear the gold chain, they crank up Zohar Agarov, bless you, love root, and very some like I was never a Zohar Agarov fan. I don't know how he became like the Elvis of Israel, but whatever. And it was just a clash of cultures. I would hear, "Why don't you go back to the States?" A couple of these chachachim one time pulled a bar off a closet to try and beat my ass, but I broke one of their arms, and
Wow, spicy.
yeah, it just wasn't a good fit. So I ended up going down the road, you could say, to another kibbutz called Kfar Haruv, and all these kibbutzim. They one of the areas they worked at was a place called Hamat Gader. These hot springs, they have alligators there. Real nice place.
Okay.
So this group in particular were, I guess, from a upper middle to upper class group of people. So there weren't as many issues. And I'm not putting down any other classes. I'm just saying
Mm.
they didn't have that gangster wannabe mentality. They're a lot more friendly. I didn't hear go back to the States. What are you doing here? You made a mistake. So the
Oh
time
wow.
comes. Yeah, so the time comes for the draft. Yeah, I'd hear that a lot actually. It was very interesting times there, if you're an American, depending where you're at. So the
Right.
draft date finally comes up, and I go down to Jerusalem, and they didn't have my stuff ready to go. And I had made Aliyah by this time, and they're like, "Do you want to wait?" And I was like, "Hell no! I came here for a purpose." So
Right.
they technically wrote me down as a volunteer, and I ended up going off to basic training. And it was
Okay.
that training that has guided me to where I am this day. I'm not talking about having riches or abundant success, but strength, koach, the that I'm not going to take any shit from
Mhm.
anyone that's going to beat up a bunch of Jews.
Right.
So I had to raise my profile twice because I wear corrective lenses. Originally I had a 73. It took 3 attempts. I finally got it up to what they call here, 82. I went down to Camp 908 and ended up doing 4 months Tiranut down there, the 120-kilometer Masa Kumta up the snake path of Masada. After that, I felt totally invincible.
Yeah.
And after that, it was the real deal. Our first deployment was the day Baruch Goldstein went into the mosque in Hebron and
That
did
was your
Kiddush. Has
first day? Oh wow.
Yeah,
Man,
because
a
we
lot
were on
going
the
on
bus.
that day. Damn.
We were heading on the bus because we were let out for a weekend, and we were heading up to Tel Aviv, and the bus stops like right after Ashkelon, turns
Hmm.
us around, and we're told we're heading down the Hebron. And that was our first action down there, and that was an eye opener, um,
Wow.
like the real deal, I guess you can say. Just like any veteran from today or any war, like it's all, I don't know, how can you say it? Not real till it's real.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's not real till that's a really good description. I mean, I'm not a military person, but I would say in the street kind of street gang thing, it's kind of the same thing, you know. Not real till it's real until you're like, wow, there's bodies. Like this is not
yeah, when there's Molotov
playing
cocktails
games,
flying past you, bullets, RPGs, yeah, it's
right?
the real
When
deal.
when you know, when your friend is you're just talking to your friend and now they're dead. It's like, okay, well, that
Yeah,
is
we
not the first thing you think of when you get into the situation and then it happens.
so we were pretty busy after that for my whole time in. It was a time when there were a lot of
Wow, very
suicide bombings going
tumultuous
on the
time.
buses. Yes, it was. And I was a lone soldier. For the people that don't know what a lone soldier is a soldier there with no family. My cousin had passed away, so I had no family there.
Oh,
And at that time, well, just like everywhere, there's bureaucracy. So there'd be times where me and other lone soldiers wouldn't get our pay, apartment rent on time, come back from a deployment, our stuff's on the street, we're
oh
sleeping in
shit.
bus stations, all that stuff. And
Mm.
I'm going to jump forward. When I went back in 2017 for a 25-year reunion with my CO, who introduced me
Okay.
to the wonderful world of cannabis. And thanks, Guy, if you're listening,
What a
because I was
wonderful
drink.
world it is.
Yeah, I was drinking a lot. Not like an alcoholic, but I would just pound down a lot of alcohol when I'd go get home for Shabbat. But I pretty much stopped drinking after that. So thanks, Guy. Probably saved my liver. But
Yes, yes. Drinking is ostensibly harsher on your system.
yeah, I am enjoying a whiskey and Coke right now. I do prefer
Yeah.
whiskey, but
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, for a l'chaim,
yeah,
one thing, but when it gets into heavy, where it's every weekend or something like that,
that's right.
uh,
So,
yeah, you can
yeah.
hurt yourself.
Yeah, so so yeah, there'd be times we'd be homeless on the streets. But like I was saying, I went back for my 25-year reunion, and
Hmm.
apparently the Chayalim Bodedim, the lone soldiers of my time, are now considered like the Knights of Israel. I heard that from an Israeli. They're like, "Whoa, you were a Chayal Boded back then? Whoa!" And like they'd buy me drinks and stuff, and I'd be like, "No, man, it's all good. I didn't come for a red carpet." And there's a lot
Right,
of
so you're supposed
people.
to buy me some weed. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I
Don't
had
drink
some good.
anymore.
I'll tell you, I had some good friends. Like I was at this one base in an area by what they call Nablus, which I believe has been shut
Shem.
down since. Yes, Shem, base called Dotan, and I had some good friends there who, if they went out for a weekend, they bring me back like half a joint and like a matchbox, and I'll get to Basisto Dotan in a little bit. That was like interesting itself, but a lot of people uh, don't really know the full workings of the Israeli army. Like, I'm not dissing my dad, but he had no clue what Israel was like. He had never been there. None of my family came to my boot camp graduation or visiting the whole 3 years I was there. And so I came back after 3 years, and my dad's like, "Oh, I bet you made some good money, huh?" I
Wait,
laughed. I said,
you
yeah, I
think
was
that's
getting a
what's happening?
yeah, I was like, yeah, I was getting a like pretty much a triple salary compared to the average soldier. He's like, oh, you must have made some good money. I said, no, that was like $75 a month. I didn't do it for the money. I did it
For the
so in
cause.
case. That's right. And if you know, I said back then, and it's hard to believe now. I said I want to be trained to be the baddest in case something like the Shoah ever happens again.
Right.
And here we are today
Here
in a
we are,
world that's getting pretty damn close to 1935 Germany.
where they're on those vibes. Well, and that's the thing, we learn from last time, hopefully. Some of us didn't so much, but, now we
No,
have,
no, I
weapons
will.
and things
Yeah, no, now we can
that I
protect
won't show the
ourselves.
entire weapon because they're probably getting started. Just give you a little edge of it so you can get the suggestion of what it was.
Well,
But,
I always loved the Galilon, the mini Galil.
oh, nice.
That was my favorite. And an
Oh,
RPG. I ended up being Packless RPG with a mini
definitely can't show
Galil.
that on YouTube.
No, the police would probably be here, but I don't have one. If in case
Right,
you're
I don't have
watching,
one
Big
either,
Brother.
but right, I don't have one. But if I did, it wouldn't be acceptable on YouTube. Even if I had like a license for it, YouTube would still censor it.
Right. And I mean, like, so the pay was like, for me, it wasn't a shocker, but for anyone who's never been there, doesn't know the workings of the Israeli army, they're kind of shocked at that. The only time I wouldn't call it culture shock, but there was one time they just opened up McDonald's there, and it was a big deal. And
Oh, okay, right.
there I am with 30 guys in my Pluga. You know, this one's got the mag with 80 rounds. This one's got a law. That one's got RPG. I've got an RPG. We all got rifles, Selevet, double
Yeah.
magazine, 20. And I was laughing while I was eating my Big Mac because I was like, in America, like MFers would be dead. You know, like anyone walking in a place with that, there's going to be bodies, but everyone's just enjoying themselves. To me, that was
They're
probably the
just
only time I
chilling.
experienced culture shock. Yes. And but like I said, there's a lot of bureaucracy. I was supposed to go to an army old pond, after Keep the Olive, but they never sent me to this army Ulpan. So the first day I got to boot camp, I said to my Rasar, that's like sergeant major for people who don't know, I was like, listen, I only finished like class A beginner Hebrew. I don't want to accidentally blow like one of my fellow comrades' heads off. And he says, Hoffman, after 4 months in the Shetach, your Hebrew will be Melchus, which is 100%. So he was right about that. I definitely could speak it and understand it, but my reading and writing was horrible. I didn't know they had written tests there, and they like shrink all the words down to like 3 letters. You could have like 5 different words in Hebrew, but they shrink it down to like 3 letters and a dash. And like some of these tests, I never did good in tests in school unless it was history or art. But like I ended up, just circling answers, and my mem pulls me to the side after this one test, and
I
he
hope I
calls
hope you
over.
wrote the right thing.
Yeah, well, he calls over one of the soldiers. His name was Alad, this little dude with glasses who spoke English, and he's like, I found out he says to him, like, go over these answers with Hoffman and make sure he puts down the right answer. And I won't say what answers I circled, because if I mention them, people will be like, oh, yeah, that just proves, like, Israel's a bunch of Nazis and killers and shit. But anyway, I had to redo the test.
Yeah.
So, so it was just an interesting experience. There was a time after I'd been in the Shetok for like a year and a half, I got called back to Pikuda Nachal, which there was a Summit Beit Lead. It was a junction. There was a coffee shop there. And right after I got back to the States in 95, t- terrorists blew that up. Anyway, so I go to this Pikuda Nachal, and they said, we want you to be a mifaked, which is like a drill instructor. I was like, oh, cool. And so they sent me to this base in Shechem called Dotan. And they said, you're going to go there and you're going to wait till the orders come through. I was like, all right. So I get to this base, and the East Dotan was, if I don't know if you know what Kuf Mem means in regards to
Uh,
military classifications. They're like the brain dead people, the people that can't follow orders, the screwballs, the
okay.
rejects.
So like in the American equivalent would be like almost 4F, but not quite.
Yes, yes. And it was like a bunch of Arsim and Chakchakim and Arsiot and Chakchakiot, and everyone had like the gold chain with the hand holding the gold ring. It was always Zohar Agarov. And it was there that I met my Samach Mempeh, the one who introduced me to weed, named Guy, and 2 other people. One, his name is Shachar Veroner. He's out in Ariel. Shalom, Shachar. I hope you're doing okay and staying safe. Um, and it was very demoralizing. Um, I ended up being a mifaked, but it was for new Russian immigrants that were learning
Okay.
Shlav Bet, like guard duty. And this particular group I had were the least motivated people I've ever seen in my life. When they drink, they would
Really?
say Lishana Bob in New York, kind of effed up.
Oy.
And there was one day, like I've been applying to get off this base and go back to headquarters. By this time, it'd been like 4 months. So there's one day, like my guys are in the Shechem, which is like PX in America, the canteen, and we were getting ready to go
Okay.
for like a short massage, short hike, maybe 2, 3 kilometers. And there's always like this one that I would make packless tape, pretty much like a little tape player boom box. Guy would carry it, and I've always been more into punk and death metal and all that growing up. So I'd always play Slayer and like Ice T when he had that Judgment Night stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm getting my guys ready one day to go out on this hike, and I was like, sachuta. You have to talk, like this, hand closed, hat down. Sachuta means get outside. And there's this one dude who says, F you. I was like, really?
Woo.
And I said, get outside now. And he says, F you again. And like all the mifakdim, they're like, you can have it like this, open handed, or like this. And you don't want it like this. So he gets up and
Okay.
he says, oh, I was Spetsnaz in Uzbekistan. I'm going to F you up. And I just took like, at this time I had a short M16, just did a quick little swing with the stock to his head, uh, knocked him out. and had the rest of the people take him to the chofish, the medic. Um, and the last straw was, again, this was like down the road. I have another group in there, and I turn on the music. Russians love heavy metal. They love the music I had. And there was this guy named Asaf. There was this guy named Asaf who was in charge of the Shechem. And so I'm turning on the music. My guys are motivated to go. This guy comes over and turns off the tape player. I turn it on. He turns it off.
Whoops.
I take him to the
Oh no,
side.
that sounds like a movie scene.
I said, Asaf, you're like effing up my command here. And like I said, I've been trying to get off this base for a while. I lost my appetite. I didn't want to be there. It's called Shavuz Alapanim. And so I said to him, I said, Asaf, you touch my tape player one more time, I'm going to kill you. I mean, I was like 19, like always ready to go. Like even there's what I'm digressing again, but New Year's '94, I was in a town called Netanya, and I always wore my disket. They call it Murrah, poison, like the real motivated people. They never take off dog tag. I'm even wearing it now. This is the original dog tag I had.
Nice.
Um, so I said, if you touch my tape player again, I'm going to kill you. And I turn it on. He turns it off, and I lost my control, messed him up a little bit, and I had my first court martial. They call it mishpat there, but I had this really cool Rasar who would always tell me about his visit in Vegas. It's the only English he spoke, talking about Vegas or Elvis. Liked me. They were going to send me to Kelly 6 out in the Negev, but my sergeant talked it down to just what they call Ratuk, 2 weeks on base. So I was in charge of all the terrorist prisoners in the jail cell. And I'd go there and I'd be like, hey, you hungry? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd throw the food in through the jail cell or whatever.
Nice.
And pretty much
Interesting.
spent the days watching Simpsons in his air conditioned office. And after that, they sent me back to Picud headquarters. And I was thinking, oh, why didn't I do that before? I could have been out of there like 3 months ago.
Whoops.
So after that, they sent me back to Pikuda Nahal, and they ended up sending me to Course Madasim at Wingate Institute, which is for people who don't know where you go to be a fitness instructor, and they call that Chupar treat. Uh, Barely made it through that course because he was very technical. I was still smoking, but my fitness was excellent. Nowadays, not so sure, but I finished as a Madasnik, turning people into hardcore Hebes for
Nice.
932nd Air Nahal Division, 50th Battalion Basalt. And I ended up getting out. I went back to the States, went back to Cleveland. I've been really burnt out there. I got burnt out there. I never got political. I mean, the Army took up most of my time, so I wasn't hanging with any Baytar Nicks, JDL Nicks, or anything like that. But I just got burnt out. So I decided, all right, I'll go back to Cleveland, Ohio. I got back. I hadn't seen my family in 3 years. And a lot of people in good units there, they end up being air security on Allow. So when I got back to the States, I was like, oh, I could probably do that. And this was like January of '95. So the very first day, like I said, I'm back in Cleveland. I go down to the U.S. Marshal's office, cold winter day. I go up in there. There's four people in the office, shirt and ties, government, and they're like, "What can we do for you? Why are you here?" And I
Uh,
said, "Well, I just spent 3 years in a top-notch unit with the IDF. Are you looking for sky marshals?" And they
nice.
laughed at me. They laughed at me. One asked
Wow.
you. One said, "Do you have a college degree?" I said, "Yeah, 3 years counterterrorism." And then they said, "We don't have that program anymore." This is in 1995. Now,
Wow. What a failure. What do you
yes,
mean you don't have that program? Why do you not have this program anymore?
I didn't even get that far. I just said, "Okay, I'm out." And it's too bad they didn't have that program back then. I
You think?
believe,
Yeah.
yeah, big failure. And I might not be the most religious guy, but I know Hashem and the Melachim have been watching over me because there's been so many times that I could have died that I haven't. And I
Mm.
get sometimes, like, I don't know if I don't want to call them prophetic visions, but I get these. I'll call them downloads. And
Okay.
I'd been talking about what's going on today, back in '95, telling Jewish community, beware, this what's happening now is going to be coming. I get laughed
Right.
at.
Don't get too comfortable. Don't forget what happened last time.
Yeah, and people forget history, and people think just because we're in the 20th century and it's after World War II, it won't happen again.
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody's perfect now. Everybody's your friend. Everybody
Mm.
loves each other. It's a mystical, happy, loving everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and I had a friend, he didn't go to the Israeli army, but another Jewish kid, his name's Eric, may he rest in peace. He ended up going 82nd Airborne. He was over in Somalia when that Black Hawk Down stuff went on. And I hadn't
Whoa.
seen him. I hadn't seen him since we graduated high school. So he had a birthday, and my dad remarried this woman who lived two doors down from him. And my friend's mother was like a god aunt to my dad's second wife. It's kind of weird. Anyway, we're sitting around,
Okay.
and I have three stepbrothers and one stepsister, which I hadn't seen either since I went to Israel. And of course, they were being fed the BS from the mainstream media. Oh, how could you be there with everything that goes on? How could you do this? Oh, it's so
It's
dangerous.
apartheid. You helped them make apartheid.
Well, I said, you know what? It's different over there. Don't believe what the media is telling you here. Like I even remember stuff that would happen over there that wouldn't be on the news over here because I'd check in with my mom like every 2 weeks, give her a phone call. I was like, "Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that?" No. Like no one here really hears the full story ever. It's kind of frustrating. So
Yeah, and
they're
you
like,
have to know people that are over there to really have an idea. Because if you just look at like these, that's why you see these big uh, pro-Palestine protests and stuff because they don't know anybody or anything about it. So the other side plays on their ignorance and they can tell them whatever and they'll believe it because they're,
and
they feel for that side. So they'll just believe, oh yeah, that's what the Israelis are doing. It's terrible. It's terrible, and they'll just believe the blood libel and go with
yes,
it,
yep.
you
The
know,
term the
not
term
knowing the
baby
first thing.
The term baby killer is still popular. Someone even called me that yesterday on Instagram. Whatever.
I got called that today. Yeah.
But you know what? To me, they're just names. You can call me whatever you want. It's when you get up in my face,
Just
threaten
don't call
me
me
or my
late for
people.
dinner.
I like that one. It's a good one. But yeah, once you get up in my face, like it's gonna be game over. I don't take shit from anyone anymore. Like I said, when I was in school, all the way through high school, I get my ass kicked because I was a skinny little nerd. But being in the
Well,
IDF
yeah,
turned me
sometimes
into a
the
fighter.
ugly duckling syndrome ends up, you know, uh, working out the opposite.
Right.
Um, I met some of those people, the baby killers and all that stuff earlier, in Chicago downtown. I had an Arab woman come up to me earlier, and she just like big fat lady, and she's like, "You're afraid. You're afraid." So I looked at her and said, "Why should I be afraid of you? Why should I be afraid of you?" And she
Right.
goes, and then she comes kind of close, but not close enough to be assault, but kind of closer. And she says, "Do something." I said, "What exactly would you like me to do?
That's what they want you to do.
What exactly would you like me to do? Swing first, so I look like the aggressor.
Yeah.
You can come. If you touch me, I'm good. Yeah, you're going down. But I mean, you're just standing there, like looking at me, saying "do something" is the most ridiculous thing. But that's what they think that they can that will fall for that. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
think that we'll just go, oh yeah, I'll do something, I'll show you, and then just go and I should just go get arrested or something. For
Right. It's like you have to play chess, but with that kind of mentality, you have to play checkers and plan out your triple jump so you don't do anything foolish, but you still win in the end. We're not dealing with brainiacs here. These people don't
No,
like,
we're dealing with inbreds. Let's be honest,
yep,
and the inbreds leading around a bunch of impressionable, overprivileged white kids mostly
Yes.
And they've got these virtue signals where they want to say, I care about the brown people. Oh, meanwhile, over here, I'm on the south side of Chicago. Tons of brown people could use your help over here. You ain't not
Mm.
doing shit for the neighborhood. You want to do everything for the foreign, uh, uh, this mysterious guy. It's all
It
fetish.
it
It's all
it's
fetish.
yeah, these champagne socialists and other people that don't know history or ignore it or believe the old narratives, besides channels like CNN, MSNBC, like
Right.
definitely run by outside entities along with the I believe there is something with the Marxists, the commies, the anarchists, and just the Hamassals that are trying to bring down the West. A lot of
The
people have
the
said it
I
before,
call
but
them
I
the
believe it.
anarcho-communists because none of them are real anarchists. Because if they were actually anarchists, they wouldn't want a state of Palestine. They wouldn't want a state of anything.
Right, and it's the
Um,
same with these champagne socialists that live in the nice areas of the town that come out and
yeah,
uh,
exactly. I actually just read a thing on its revolutionary communists that are here in Chicago. They have a thing. Guy says that our leader, our revolutionary leader, some guy named Bob. He's a
Bob Dobbs, Church
revolutionary.
of Subgenius.
No, no, that's a cool Bob. This is a
Yeah.
lame Bob. This is Bob Avakian, the revolutionary communist leader. But they said he teaches us to get out there and struggle with the people. So it like
Mm.
teaches you to get out there and struggle with the people. Think about that. You had to learn how to struggle. So
You
it's a
know,
bunch of rich kids. It's a bunch of trust fund babies trying to do this performative thing, pretend, like everything is the simple black and white thing that they understand because somebody from an oppressed culture told them.
I also think it's a need to, like you said, you mentioned virtual signaling. I think it's a desire to fit in. Like I'm 52. The main thing when I was growing up was apartheid in South Africa, which was a real apartheid. I
Yeah,
never
it's
got
actually
involved.
that's where the word comes from, apartheid.
Right. I never got involved in the protest, but I knew what was going on. Was Nelson Mandela a terrorist? Yes. Okay. But there's still a lot of
Yes.
Jews that work for his freedom. People forget that shit too. But
Right.
anyway, I also, yeah, I was up in Chicago back in like '06, working down in Boys Town, living in Logan Square. It's like, it sounds bad, but every place I've been
Logan Square
to,
is radicalized now. It's
is
all
it?
the Palestine people are all coming from Logan Square. A lot of them. Pilsen has always been communist, but Logan Square is now uh, trying to be radical. Like the hipsters.
What a
It's
shame.
it's it's
What
it's a
a
trip,
shame.
man.
I've been
Yes.
to over 30 countries. I'm glad I went through Europe when I did before it turned to shit. It's a real shame. These governments over there kissing.
Europistan.
Yeah. Like I lived and worked in London, 97, which I'd call the golden years of the UK, the rave years, Spice Girls. I mean, the only racism I saw going on, I was working in the trades, would just be between like the Pakistanis versus the white British because they hated each other. Like everyone seemed to hate each other, but you didn't
Just
see
as an
this.
aside, that the Spice Girls manager was Jewish, and he was Malcolm McLaren, the same guy who brought up the Sex Pistols. So I just wanted to
Oh,
mention
no kidding.
that little
All
Jewish
right.
connection there, since you
Oh,
mentioned
nice.
the Spice Girls.
Yeah, I never got into them, but everyone else did when they were over there. I was more into like the drum and bass scene, but
Yeah, raga and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, every country I've been to, other than in when I was living in Southeast Asia, is seemed to have turned over to the Muslims and their extremist ideals, and it's a shame. Usually, what starts in Europe ends up coming here. I do have a voter registration card. Ironically, I've been out of the country for every election, crewing a yacht across some ocean the past 3, 4 elections. The only election I actually voted in, I could say, was when I was in Jerusalem when it was Clinton.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I've been out of the country, but yeah, what's happened to Europe is a shame, and Uh, I didn't vote for Trump in the first election. I didn't vote for Hillary either. On my voter registration card, it says under party affiliation, none. I'm more into being a libertarian, independent.
Yeah. I
Like
say I'm
I'm,
an independent,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, sometimes there isn't an independent option, and you have to choose the lesser of two evils in many situations, like probably what they're going to have to do in New York, for example, coming up for the mayor.
right.
But,
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
a piece of
yeah,
work, isn't he? That Mondani guy. You know,
it's a
another
test,
hypocrite, another
you know,
champagne socialist.
just like COVID and the masks and the vaccines, all of this is an IQ test, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I heard that like nicotine can fight COVID, so they're like, I mean, I've always been smoking, so maybe that's why I never got it. Anyway,
Yeah, actually, smoking is a prophylactic against coronavirus. They said. Weed or cigarettes, actually. Just basically, you're coating your
yeah,
lungs with some type of plant oil, right? So I guess that's
yeah.
what.
I'm making a career switch, so I stopped smoking weed for the first time in probably 30 years, like last week, so I can dry out and
Good luck with
get a.
that, sir.
Oh, it's actually going okay. My worst addiction is cigarettes. That's probably the only bad thing I could think of going to Israel. I never smoked. I used to run around with a
Picking up the
straight edge.
cigarettes.
Yeah, I used to run around with the straight edge hardcore people with skateboards fighting Nazis and never touched them. It was like the first Sukkot I was there. Made the mistake of having a Marlboro, and the rest is history.
So that's
Uh,
the last thing. We're gonna end into kind of go into the end of topics here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about. Now, this is something I've noticed. I've talked about with some other people that nowadays, since October 7th, the main Jews uh, who are ready to fight, ready to throw down if these Palestine people get in your face, ready to really stand up, have been skinheads and punks and people from the hardcore. Um, and I think that that's not talked about enough. I feel that like this kind of Gen X and the Zennials, like from your age to maybe a little bit younger than me, uh, that generation had like a certain toughness and that
yeah,
underground element. I think it taught us all something that the average Jews that walked around in like normal society, they didn't pick up on. They didn't have to go to a place and potentially fight somebody, just uh, off of a Saturday night. Most people go out to something and they don't expect that something crazy might happen. But in like the punk and hardcore world, you
yeah.
did,
Well,
and a lot of us, most of the JDL now is skinheads. I mean, to be honest.
yeah. Well, there was one kid when I was in Beitar. His name was Les. He was a skinhead. He wore a do rag. He had the leather jacket with the spikes on it. He wore those fingerless leather driving gloves. And I was
Oh,
like,
like
"Who's
it's
this?"
kind of like
Yeah,
80s vibe.
yeah. I was like, "Who's this dude?" But he was like one of the coolest guys, and I got along better. I'm not slamming any kind of Jew. If I was going to slam any kind of Jew, it would be these brainwashed Democrats that watch MSNBC all day. Unfortunately, my
Mm.
old man does, and I've heard Jews down here in Florida talking about starving the Gazans. Those are the
Oh,
ones I can't stand. Those to me are today's Judenrats, the capos, the
yeah, it's like
weaklings. Urgh.
I mean, I hate to sound ever to sound like a communist, but some people do need to be re-educated. They need to
Yeah,
like be sat down, forced to sit down and read and look at things and learn things. And like, okay, before you go out in public talking again, please read this, please watch this. You know,
yeah. I mean, I think it's a lack of tarbut, a lack of knowing your whole history, and a sense of complacency. I consider it like pre-Hitler Germany, or when Hitler came into power, and there were the Jews who are like, "Oh, nothing's gonna happen. Let's just go on with ourselves." Guess again, and
right?
I
When they're the
don't.
most assimilated and the most comfortable, that's when they realize, oh shit, maybe
Right.
we should have not got comfortable.
right. And I don't wish bad on anyone that doesn't mess with me, but especially for our people, I don't want them to learn a lesson when it's too late. I don't.
That's very important. Yes, that's a good point. And I do that like in this organization. In this organization, we have people that maybe want to be like, "Hey, I want to be in the JDL and I want to be out on the street with it." Okay, well, until you're ready to fight and not hurt yourself, you might have to do a background role or something like that. Because
Yeah,
yeah, you have to be ready. These people are crazy. They literally want you to die. Like they don't want
yeah.
you to live. They don't want to argue with you. They don't want to give you a platform for your opinion by having a civilized debate. They want you to die.
No, and you know what? It always seems to be like the largest, fattest shalmuta that has the biggest mouth at these rallies. You know,
Yeah, that
like,
was what the fat one that came up to me today. Do something.
yeah, I'd be like, why don't you do something and go figure out what a treadmill is? You know, and get back to me in
Yeah,
a week.
right. Yeah, it's like do something. Maybe if you did more, you wouldn't look like that. No, but I mean, really, what? Just do something. She gets close to me, close, close. Do something. Like what? Well, what exactly would you like me to do? What?
Yeah,
You know.
I will say, like I said, I don't really do politics much, but the way the Democrats were after October 7th, except for the one lone wolf Fetterman, I'm definitely pro-Trump, and I
Yeah,
think
in this aspect, I mean,
yes.
personally, before earlier in the race, I was supporting Kennedy. Everybody knows I was a volunteer for Kennedy for a while.
I didn't know that. He's
Um,
a cool dude.
but he's on the Trump team, and like you said, I don't affiliate with a party, but sometimes you have to choose the lesser of two evils. And in the situation, it was like, okay, are people really going to support Kamala Harris? She's a, a vapid idiot, and she's just a puppet of Obama, you know. And you had it was like, okay, well, I guess Trump is what it is then, because the other option is literal, Jew hate and complete idiocy,
Yes, well, I think now what needs to be done is we need to unite with the other good people. We need to organize, and that means Christians, Hindus, Buddhists.
Right.
I went with a friend to a church service,
They're all
and
targets for the Islamists.
yes, and I went to this one church with a friend of mine just to go with her, and this one woman's going off about like the Indonesians and the Thais and their demon worshippers. And I couldn't believe I was hearing that. I said, you
Oh,
know what,
who?
though? They're not talking about going out killing Jews, bringing down the U.S. Like, we need those people on our side. Eventually,
Yeah.
again, it was a download, but I really think it's going to come down to a battle between the good versus evil. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
how else
it's
to explain it.
already shown itself to be that,
Yes.
when people can look at those videos and pictures of the hostages and still think that anything on their side is justified, uh, people will easily become heartless if they feel that they'll be accepted if everybody else around them is being heartless too. You
Yeah,
know,
and that's a real big
it's
shonda.
sociopathy.
It's a real big shame. I hope those hostages, I hope the IDF goes in there and crushes them and gets our people back. Enough is enough.
Smash Gaza,
Yes.
smash it
No
into
mercy
a
for Hamas
jelly,
holes. And
into a
I,
jelly.
yeah, there was a great video. I don't, you probably saw it on Instagram when the tank just ran over that one Hamas hole back and
Oh,
forth.
the
I was
guy with
like,
the RPG or whatever.
yeah, I was like, do it again. Do it again. I watched it 40 times.
Yeah,
And
slow
it might
mo.
sound, yeah, it might sound heartless, but that's what they deserve. And
That's what they're the worst fucking people, and they need to either change, stop being the worst people, or else expect to be treated like the worst people. This is simple. This
but
is
the
this is cause and effect.
well, again, the problem's going to be the mentality that lingers. Like when I was at Machon Meir in Jerusalem, I really got into Rashi commentary, and it explained.
Nice.
Well, Rashi explains why it took 40 years to go through the desert, and that was to die off the old generation that had a slave mentality.
Exactly, exactly. Because
And
and they will carry it on into the next thing. So we had to let them, let it start fresh, basically.
that's right. And I mean, I'm not calling for extermination of these brainwashed people who elected these Hamas holes. But, what are you going to do? I don't have the answer to that. And when I
I
left,
mean, historically, what we have done, and some people have said that it didn't work out in the long run, but historically, I mean, you could look at like under King David or somebody else that, we have enemies that are nearby, attacking the Jews, forcibly convert them. That's what happened before. But some people say that, the ones that we forcibly converted are now the, Jews for Palestine. So I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know.
I'll tell you, the ones I can't stand even more than the Hamasals are these sellout Jews, the ones that are holding PLO flags, like the ones with the
Yeah, I
pale.
saw them
Oh, God.
earlier in the week at the JVP thing. Of course, they all just walked away after I was there about 5 minutes. They're like, we should leave.
I mean, I like the Haredis that throw rocks at cars on Shabbat more than these people, and I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
like those
based.
people back then.
Yeah, I mean, throwing the rocks is based as long as you're not throwing the rocks at the little girls. That was the thing where like the guy, the little girl Nama. Of course, she shares my Hebrew name, so I was irritated. But she got hit in the head with a rock by her lady because she was like not modestly dressed enough before. So
No,
that was
I'm
like that pissed me off a little bit. But other than that, I
hell
mean, yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty based to throw it. The funny part is the guys who throw the rocks at the airplanes on Shabbos. Like you're just throwing a rock in the air. Like what are you?
I think if they can hit an airplane with a rock from there, they should put them in the Major League Baseball.
Should put them in the scientific testing lab because it's a mutant.
That too. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I really think the writing's on the wall, and it's just time for all the Jews, in my opinion, to go back to Israel. And then that would really piss off these Hamas holes and haters. And I can even picture it, like we're getting off the plane, all different kinds of Jews, and they're playing the theme song from Shaft. It looks badass. Like that's what I keep
Everyone
picturing.
looks badass.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been trying to get back there since October 7th, but I was in a car accident. I got hit head on, and when I was doing a varnish job up in
Sorry
Georgia
to
this
hear
past
that.
January by some illegals, so that kind of like cashed out my back. So I've been delayed, but Bezrat
Yeah.
Hashem, I will get back to Arts, and I'm gonna stay there this time.
Well, yeah. Eventually, regardless whether we decide, everybody make a Leah today, tomorrow, whatever, but eventually every Jew will end up in the land of Israel.
Bezrat
Whether
Hashem.
you thinking that right now that you're gonna go or not, you will end up there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, what are you going forward with your podcast? Are you gonna keep?
Well,
Uh,
I've
yeah,
I've run out I've run out of amazing stories to tell. I thought maybe, it was all about boat deliveries and the wackos I dealt with and storms and hurricanes and stuff, but I haven't been crewing anything for a while. The last couple episodes, some people would call them rants, but I've been doing more pro-Israel stuff, more mentions on my podcast with that. So I'm probably done with the Big Dick Pirate podcast, and I'll probably switch it to the Bar Cockboy podcast. And
will you be staying
just,
on the same channel?
yeah, I mean, I'm not
Okay,
really
cool.
tech savvy, so I probably will stay with Spotify. I like this rest stream thing I'm on because I do have people that want to do what we're doing, video to video. So I am going to look into this restream thing. I really like it. It's my first time on here, and thanks again for having me
Yeah,
on.
it's new.
But
I
it,
use this and StreamYard, so that's what we use
okay.
on this podcast.
But yeah, I'm going to switch it over and just be pro Israel, pro democracy, pro US, pro, Western values and fight these
Okay,
insane
so
morons
then,
running rampant.
he's going to stay on the same channel, folks. That
Yes.
means that you can still scan that little thing in the corner, and it'll still take you to even the new episode. So good. All right.
Yes. Yeah. Check out the
It
old
might be a different
episodes.
little photo, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely going to be different photos. I've, since October 7th, what I do is I generate a lot of AI images and I make a lot of pro-Israel stuff. So I'll be making some good hardcore images for this upcoming podcast that I'm gonna
Cool. Sounds like
reboot.
fun. We um hopefully everyone watching, listening this evening, and once this will eventually be on Spotify. Once I get
Yes,
around to uploading it. Uh, uh, but everyone, check that out. Check out his feed, and of course, also check out our Spotify as
yeah. Can I
well.
can I
Go
can
ahead.
I do a shameless plug for a book I wrote 5 years ago?
Indeed, of course you can. Of course you can.
Okay, there's a really good book. It's my book. It's on Amazon. It's called Hell on Paradise: A True Story. Hurricane Irma and St. Martin. It still has 4.5 out of 5 stars on Amazon. I'm not a millionaire yet, so
Go
feel
give him some
free.
more stars.
Yeah, so feel free to buy it. If you get the paperback, I'll find you one day and autograph it myself. I'm working on 3 more books right now at the moment, and
Hey,
the hardest
ideas are the
book for
best
me
thing
to
going.
well, the hardest book for me to write has been about my time in Israel. I've been trying to write that book ever since I got out, but for some reason it just never feels right. Maybe I got to get my ass back to Aretz and it'll come back to me better and I'll be able to get through that one and get it
Could
out there.
be. Could be.
Yeah. So let's see. So what else? I don't know. What's the weather like up there?
It's a beautiful day today. When I went out to the Stop the Genocide, the Stop the Jews rally, disguised as the Stop the Genocide rally.
How,
Um,
how, how many JDL Nicks were there?
in this situation, I went by myself. I kind of found out about
Oh.
it at the last minute, honestly.
Hmm.
Just like the like 2 days before it, and I was like, oh shit.
A,
And
lion, a lioness in a world of sheep. Shkoach.
but I had a lot of people on the street were supportive. That was like, oh, good, yeah. Give me a fist or a thumbs up. I had several Israelis come up and shake my hands and thank you, for being here. And an old
Awesome.
Japanese man, he looked kind of concerned. He came up then because there's like 500 Arabs, and he says, you are alone. He said, sometimes you got to be that person. You know?
You're never alone because Hashem is always with
Right.
you.
Yeah. Because I mean, I might be physically
Mhm.
alone, but not spiritually.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
and also, come on, there was at least, like I said, there was at least 500 of them, and they were so uneased by the one Zionist with American and Israeli flag that they had to call the police and have me moved to the other side. Like, oh, this is a threat, and this one guy keeps going, to the police, because like I guess he thought I should be nowhere in sight, but the police just told me, look, you have to stay a certain distance from them. You know what I mean? I said, all right, fine, whatever. And then, so of course I'm waiting for them to drift over towards me. I see this Israeli guy, and he says, wow, you're very brave out here, balls of steel. you know? I said, well, I'm not even all the way down there to where they're at yet. I'm going closer. He goes, oh, you like to party.
Yeah, it's
It's
probably one reason we don't see that shit going on down here because down here is plenty of Jews with guns and there's gators. And those
yeah,
rags they wear on their head. I heard this from an evangelical Christian
that
who
they're very
said, quote,
tasty.
no, well, he was talking about these some assholes with the rags. He said,
Right.
down here, those are targets. And I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
are.
right on. So that's why we don't see that much shit down here. I'm in Boynton Beach right now. I don't care about my location. I'm not afraid of anything. I got mad hardware. But
Right, exactly.
it's a little bit leftyville once you get West Palm Beach down in Miami. But overall, you don't see that crap here. I haven't seen one Palestinian sticker or any of that crap. Not a
Extra
Hezbollah sticker.
mags, even.
Oh yeah, my arsenal isn't as big as it was when I came back from Nepal, but I'm waiting. Hopefully I won't need it. But if there is a day, thank God I went through the IDF and I know what to do,
And you're
and
ready.
I will protect my people at all costs.
And that's what I keep telling people: get training any way
Yes.
that you can. Obviously, not everybody's going to be, in the IDF. Not everybody
Sure.
can go across whatever. But if you're in the United States or even Europe or whatever, but this is a primarily American audience. If you're in the United States, go find a trainer. Like
Yes.
we have guys that are JDL guys that we recommend and everything. But we don't have guys in every city, but every city does have some place. Just go there and make sure the guy's not
A
a
fake?
pro-Palestine shady, and
Yes.
would teach you some wrong shit or even possibly injure you in the class.
Yeah, you
Um,
want to, yeah, find an Israeli guy who's teaching or someone who's definitely Jewish. You know what I
right, a
mean?
Jew or somebody
Yes.
friendly, somebody that's But again, that's one of the perks of joining JDL. You get into the little network of the trainers,
Yes.
if you live in one of those areas where we do have the trainers.
God, God bless Rav Binyamin Kahana for starting this organization back in the day. You know,
Um,
I mean, if it
we
wasn't for him, who knows if I would have gone to Israel.
um, the rabbi and his son, uh, we still obviously take influence from, um, but we're trying to amalgamate everything into working in this modern world with the social media and all these the different issues that we have today. But the Kafar Tapua, we want to give a shout out to them again,
Yeah.
because from what we hear, they love us over there. Some people, when they can get internet and stuff, they have seen the show and messaged and things like that. So it's uh,
My,
it's a beautiful place, and we wish them much joy and
yes.
progress into building that up into a better, bigger town.
Yeah, I didn't get to go back there when I went back there for my 25th year reunion, but when I go back there for good, I will visit Kfar Tapuach again. And I will say for people that want to
Rabbi
protect
Schifrin used
themselves,
to live there as well.
I don't remember him. I remember Lenny Goldberg, David Berg, who I met at the rally in Marion. He was there when I got there. And Binyamin Kahana was there one time when I was there as well. May he rest in peace as well. Many people that
Yakuziel Gosowski.
name doesn't ring a bell.
He's from New
Lenny
York, but he
Goldberg
was over
picked
there
me
for a
up.
while.
Yeah, I only remember those three people for some reason. I've always been bad with names, but it's been
That's okay. It's not a
I was
quiz.
there in '92. But I will say they when I went to my Madosnik course, they taught me Krav Maga. And for people, I will just
Beautiful.
say in blue states, anything is a weapon. If guns are illegal, get a can of Hornet Wasp spray. That stuff's better than tear gas, solid stream. Get it in their eyes. They got to go to the hospital. Even a full can of soda to the temple. Anything is a weapon. Protect yourselves. Don't let
Spray
these some
paint in the
assholes
eyes
run over you.
works too.
Oh, that's a good one, but it makes me think of Blade Runner, like when she sprayed her eyes. But yeah, so I
I
guess
didn't, yeah, well, I didn't think of that. I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, I think of that, but I never thought of that
but yeah,
before. But yeah, it's a secondary thing. It's for you. You can cover up Hamas
mhm.
propaganda, or you can
Yeah,
spray them in the face. You know,
yeah,
whichever.
it's a good one.
Dual purpose.
So let's see, how much time do we have left? I could talk
Um,
about so many things.
well,
I'm not complaining.
no, that's fine. We could probably just a couple minutes, but
Okay.
so what did basically close up with telling where people can find you. You said your book. What are you on? Do you promote your like Instagram or anything like that? Do you want people to follow you on that?
They can if they want. However, let's see. I've had three Instagram accounts canceled for standing up for Israel and calling
They keep
Hamas
banning
as
you.
what they
Yeah,
are.
the
Hamas.
same. That
Yeah.
was me
So
too.
at the moment, I'm on a streak. I've had my Ben Masada profile. That's Ben underscore Masada. You can't get a Sadiq the letter tzaddik on an English keyboard. So it says Masada, which my Israeli friend said Ben restaurant. I'm like, no, Masada, where the zealots held off the Roman army. They're like, oh, okay. So yeah, so it's Ben underscore
Ben
Masada
restaurant.
on Instagram. Facebook, I'm so sick of it. There's not even a point mentioning it. And overall, I'm tired of social media, but so I'm
It
only doing
is,
Instagram right now.
yeah, it is. It's a battleground because you're fighting the idiots that are on there to support Hamas as well as the administration of the sites themselves.
Yes,
So you have to judge the worth of your energy. Say, well, do I have the energy to dedicate to something that might be like this? So I can, yeah, I totally understand. Sometimes I'm on
my
there, sometimes I'm not.
right. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not. My friends in Israel, besides ones here who mentioned Israel's losing the PR war. Yes,
Mhm.
they are, but it's the overall real war that won't be lost. And
Right, and that's what matters.
all these countries, and all these people that are against Israel always eventually get theirs.
Yep.
Straight up.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly. And that's yeah, that was oh, I forgot that was one of their chants at the Gaza thing. Uh
oh yeah, what?
this is genocide, not war. We won't take it anymore. I said, you'll take it. You will fucking take it, bitch. You'll take it and you'll fucking like it.
You know what?
It's
I think the Jewish influencers on Instagram need to stop talking
being
about
pussies,
historical facts. Yeah, stop being pussies. Stop explaining the
turning out our
history.
pockets.
Yeah, because these morons don't get history and they don't want to
And they
get
think you're
history.
lying anyway. You could tell them that the fucking temple is older than the mosque, which is cleared by the fact that the mosque is built on top of the temple, and they'll tell you that you're making up Zionist propaganda. Like somehow we dug a hole under the mosque and built an entire temple or something. You know what I mean? Like they really
Right.
will just believe that Jews lie. So why bother? Why bother talking to
Exactly.
them? Why bother telling them, like this guy says, tried to argue with me today, hold up some sign with little fake pictures of starving children. You support this? I said, that's a bunch of lies. And he
Yes.
wants to get
Eh,
into it. No, I just said, that's a bunch of lies. Oh, my family's over there. They told me about it. So your family's liars too, then.
yeah, I mean, that's again, like I said, like if there was
I'm not going to debate with you
deprogramming,
about it. You're just a liar.
yeah, in regards to your deprogramming comment, my old man, he like needs to be put in front of the TV for 8 hours with maybe the Brady Bunch because like he watches MSNBC all day. Last Sunday, I heard the word genocide over 30 times in under 2 minutes. Absolutely
Despicable.
disgusting. It is
Total
despicable. These
blood
people,
libel, and they act like they're just reporting. Like no, you're giving a slant that's
yeah,
blood libel.
that's not reporting. The last reporters were like Dan Rather, Walter Cronkite. Sorry,
Back in the
but
day, yeah,
yeah, these people are just paid actors, commentaries, feeding the line. They're full of
yeah, they're
shit.
they're they're saying what their handlers want them to do. Like I played the clip last week. The guy from the AP came out since at least 2008. The AP has been conforming with Hamas propaganda and censorship. They say this, these are the numbers, this is that, and they're afraid of Hamas,
Yes.
so they just say that, and they've been fucking. You know how many other news sources base their information off of sources from the AP? So I mean,
Plenty.
this is ridiculous. And for the fact for that whistleblower to come out and then them to act like there's still any such a thing as a reputable news organization out there in the mainstream media nowadays is a farce.
No, I look to other reporters, independent journalists on YouTube
Right.
and other
Independent, you have
media.
to go independent.
Yes. And again, I mentioned like, the ones that go against Israel get theirs. I grew up watching Sesame Street on PBS, The Electric Company, Ken
Mm.
Burns, all that stuff, and they had good stuff. But I remember hearing anti-Israel shit on NPR radio for years. So I
Yep.
don't feel bad that they lost their funding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck their
They're
funding.
yeah, they're getting theirs. That's what you get for talking shit all these
Right.
years.
That's
Yeah.
what you get. NPR, and that's
Yeah.
and these other things too. You know, it's like, why should we pay for people who are spreading ideas that kill our people? Why should I
Right.
be paying taxes to for you to do that? Like,
Thank you. Exactly.
insane, in fucking
Yes.
sane. All right.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
thank you. We're gonna end up the stream here, and we're gonna
Oh,
close out here. So, is there any final thought that you would like to leave the audience with this evening?
I'm gonna say thanks for tuning in. Don't forget your roots and your culture. Stay strong in this world of adversaries. And I'm Yisrael Chai.
Israel High, and good night, folks.